Greetings from Riga, the magnificent Riga in Latvia. Good morning. Are you going to throw that on the kid? Yeah. Is that the plan? And as you can see by now, we've had our first snow, our first settled snow. And the kids are out and about excited, and I woke up this morning to a brilliant treat. Everything was coated in white, and I really wanted to share this moment with you. Look at this, how magnificent this all looks. Alright, for now there's just a little bit of snow, but after the autumn this is always welcoming. It's like a revival. It lifts up your energy. And a few days ago Latvia celebrated its birthday. 103 years of existence as the country of Latvia. And I thought I'd make a video celebrating Latvia with the Latvians, because I've been here now for almost a year. I've thoroughly enjoyed my time here, and I wanted to share with you some things that I appreciate about Latvia, things that have affected me personally through living here in Latvia, things about the Latvian people. And what a better time to do that than during the week of Latvia's birthday. So I'm going to walk around the town, see if we meet anybody interesting, and tell you why I think Latvia is such an amazing place. Now, these aren't going to be in any particular order, and they're not exclusive to Latvia. So if what I say happens in your country too, this is not exclusive to Latvia. So it's just things that I've adapted, things that I've picked up, and that I'm appreciated for. And in no particular order did I say that. So number one, ever since I've moved to Latvia, whenever I go home, it's become an automatic reaction that the first thing I do is take my shoes off. And I think that's brilliant. You know, in other countries that I've lived in, there isn't this tradition. Now, I'm assuming it probably stems from the fact that the weather is like this, or much worse than this, most of the year. And if you didn't do that, you'd come home and find puddles all over your flat or all over your house. And it just makes sense to remove your shoes at the front door, put on some slippers or some dedicated shoes for the house, and walk around the house. Now, the countries I've lived in before, that's not the tradition. You leave your shoes on, you go in, you walk all over the floor, the carpet. But when you think about it, the Latvians are right. You know, the amount of crap that's on the streets, on the floors that we walk on, and then we're just traipsing that stuff into our houses, it's really horrible. So that's the first thing I want to mention that I'm really grateful for, is this new habit that when I come home now, my shoes come off. Another thing I want to say is that in Latvia, people walk a lot. And I mean that. I don't even own a car here. I did for a while, and then I really understood that it made no sense. And you do end up doing a lot more steps, walking a lot more, living a healthier lifestyle, if you like, simply because you're not hopping in your car every time you want to go to the shop or, go and visit a friend. You will walk it, especially if you're living in Riga, because it's such a small city with everything that you would need from a city, but literally everything at walking distance. So that to me is fantastic, the habit of walking places rather than just by default saying, oh, I'm going there, hop in the car, go. That for me is probably one of the greatest things, and one of the things I'm most grateful for. Another thing is the fact that people shop here frequently for food. Now, if anybody's watched my channel, you know that I like my food. I like cooking it, I like eating it, I like sharing it. And fresh food for me is very important. Good quality ingredients. You can't dream of making up any good quality food without good quality ingredients. And ever since I've been here, I've gotten into the routine, into the habit of literally going to the supermarket every other day, sometimes even every day. You know, back from where I come from, you do a weekly shopping. You go to the supermarket, whether it's, you know, Publix or Asda's, Sainsbury's, Walmart, you name it, and you fill up a trolley with everything you could predict that you would need for the next 7 days. That's not very common here. I hardly ever see people walking around with huge trolleys. They carry little baskets. And I'm not sure if that's because of financial restrictions, that it's, you know, more difficult for them to splash out so much in one go, or the fact that, like me, they like the idea because you're always getting fresh ingredients, fresh foods. So to me, that's absolutely fantastic and fabulous. And I'm at a traffic light heading towards one of my favorite places. But yeah, the freshness of the food, the going out every other day, seeing what's new, you know, deciding what I'm going to eat on the day and actually buying what I need for that day or for that day of cooking. Another great thing is the 4 seasons that they have in Latvia. Now, I know a lot of countries have 4 seasons, but because of the nature in Latvia, you can really find yourself in a winter wonderland in January, in the middle of nowhere, with the most breathtaking scenery, something out of a Christmas postcard, to get the sensation that you're on a tropical beach in the Caribbean in the summer. And the seasons are very, very apparent here. The winter is unmistakable. It's the winter. You never wonder whether you're going to have a white Christmas in Latvia. It's a given. And the summers, although short, is a big contrast from the winters. And the springs are felt because after such long and harsh winters, that transition into spring is really joyous and gives you a lot of, I don't know, like a new rebirth or a new energy that's very, very appreciated. Now, I'm going into the train station here. You all right, mate? Okay. Going into the train station. So far, so good. No problem. The good old Soviet train station of Riga. And we're going to cut straight across to the other side. So we're out on the other side. And I can talk again. So, another thing I really appreciate about Latvia, Riga, and some locals might find this controversial, but like I said, this is what I appreciate, is the fact that they haven't gone to the full extent of completely erasing and eradicating their Soviet history. I know it's a touchy subject, and understandably so. Some people are going to feel a certain way, others another way. But to me, it's a time in history that I find fascinating, and I appreciate the fact that I can still come here and experience that time in history if I choose to. But I can also escape it if I want to, and that's very important. See, if I want to go and experience the market or find an abandoned building and get that adventurous feeling in Riga, I can. If I want to go out on a date and feel like I've been transported to Paris and have a wonderful dinner and then a nice stroll along the streets that have a huge amount of amazing Art Nouveau architecture, I can. If I want to go to the old town, party like there's no tomorrow, I can. And if I want to feel like I've been transported into the Middle Ages, I can literally hop in a car and find a multitude of castles and manors all over the country that are really well preserved, well maintained, and that in a sense is what I find extremely unique with Latvia, and I really appreciate about the country. It's that balance. It's that balance. It's not plasticky, you know. It really feels genuine to me. I mean, look at that. Look at this. Some people might think it's an eyesore. I think it's absolutely tremendous. Look at this. And yes, while a lot of countries may, you know, change the facade, make it look modern because, you know, demolishing it is not practical, I really like the fact that it's still original. Another thing I love about Latvia is the freshness of the food. The food here, especially if you'll buy it in a market like I am now, you will always find certain vendors that sell seasonal products. Now the seasons obviously are very short because nothing grows in the winter here. But when you do find local products, they're extremely fresh, they're delicious. And for instance, in the winter, I'll still be able to get potatoes because they store them obviously. And a Latvian potato, although is, you know, famous for being like the national food, I have to be honest that the Latvian potato tastes like no other potato I've ever had anywhere. They are amazing. They are simply the tastiest thing. And especially if you're making like roast potatoes. If you like roast potatoes with a Sunday roast, if you get the Laura Latvian potatoes, they make the most amazing roast potatoes ever. So I really appreciate the freshness of the local produce here. It's just phenomenal. And one thing I love about living here, this is Riga specifically, is the amazing Central Market, the largest indoor market in Europe, and it's just an amazing place with a fantastic vibe. And the next one, the tall women. Yes, we're gonna say it, they're fascinating. Now, considering that I'm only 5'8" with my hands up on tiptoes, with perhaps a bit of a Napoleonic complex, that might explain my fascination with taller women. And let me tell you, they're tall. Another thing I appreciate is how multilingual the people are here. And it makes things easier for people who may not speak the local language. For instance, people under the age of 30 will probably be fluent in English, and the people that are older than that will be fluent in Russian or native Russian. And that to me is fabulous. It's fantastic because number one, it gives me personally an opportunity to practice my my beautiful Russian that I love so much, but immersing yourself into a society where they speak the language and you can't, well, you're maybe not forced, but you have more opportunities to practice, is obviously a big plus for me. And I think that in, let's say, if I was to compare it to all the Baltic states, Latvia is the easiest place to accomplish that goal, because especially in the capital, speaking Russian is very common. And if you go further east near the Russian border, the Belarus border, places like Daugavpils, Rezekne, even more so. So that, on a personal note, I appreciate and like very much about Latvia. Before I end this video, I just want to share with you that because of restrictions right now, making it more complicated to travel, I've decided that for my next few videos, I'm going to be focusing on this amazing place, Latvia. Tiny country with a vast culture and an even bigger history. This street right here, just by listing the names that it's had over the last century, will give you a good idea. I mean, it was Große Straße. The first name this street had was Große Straße, which should give you an idea of what it is, like who ruled here, who was here, the Germans. Then it became Alexandrovskaya Ulica, the Russians. Then Alexanderstraße, the Germans once again. Eventually it became Rivibas, which is what its current name is, Latvian. And then it became Adolf Hitler Street. Pretty obvious what that would have been. Then Lenin Street. And now, once again, restored to its, you know, national glory, Brivibas Gatve, the Freedom Street. And that's just in the last 100 years, but the history dates back to the Romans, to the Vikings. It's all exciting. So I want to spend the next few videos focusing on Latvia and sharing with you what an exciting place this is. Behind me there are loads of flowers in honor of Latvia's birthday, 103 years. So before ending this video, I'd like to say Paldies Latvia un sveicu svētkus. Cheers guys, and remember, enjoy your journey. Another great thing about Latvia, Riga balsams.